привет.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Всем привет, друзья! So, my name is Paul, also known as INTPaul. And also, I'd like you all to meet my childhood friend, Hal.
Hey.
So, Hal, tell me anything about yourself and what is your Myers-Briggs type?
So my
Indicator
Myers-Briggs type is an ISTJ, so I usually like watching TV and playing video games, but normally I do thrive by a daily routine rather than uncertainty.
And how do you define ISTJ stereotypes and what distinguishes you from other ISTJs?
So ISTJ stereotypes are black and white, thinking only in a certain way, conservative. By nature, I'm not very punctual at all, and as the online descriptions tend to state, I'm kind of the opposite. Also, I don't think entirely in terms of black and white, and I don't really like to abide by a strictly conservative mindset.
Well, based on the empirical cognitive function stacking of the ISTJ, their dominant function is introverted sensing, while their auxiliary function is extroverted thinking, followed by introverted feeling as their tertiary function, and finally extroverted intuition as their inferior function. And interestingly, what ISTJs and their cousins, the ISFJs, share in common is the introverted sensing, extroverted intuition axis, or the dominant inferior function axis.
Here in the United States of America, what does it mean to be an INTP female?
Well, generally, my thoughts and motives based on what I recognize tend to be misinterpreted and misunderstood by many, even though they really don't get what I think, because like my thought process tends to give off a lot of ambiguous and unconventional vibes, so to speak. But on the other hand, where I come from, I'm quite fortunate to have grown up in a culture where diversity and rational thought are highly revered and even appreciated and admired by many, even though it's rarely acknowledged publicly.
True, the United States is very free. So, do you think that the MBTI should be an important component of the general curriculum of all public schools? Why or why not?
Well, yes, it should. With all the bullying and discrimination going around in schools, this perpetuates the normality of unhealthy relationships which exist everywhere. And we should not rear young children to become close-minded and bigoted citizens, even though we may not directly intend to do so. But we must rear them to become more well-rounded and open-minded individuals capable of nonconformist and independent, yet highly productive and constructive critical thought that's meant to uplift and encourage others. Peers need to learn how to understand and interact with each other more effectively, as much as they should acknowledge good manners, not just learn and regurgitate concrete blank evidence from the textbooks alone. In fact, I believe that the MBTI should have equal standing as mathematics, or even priority above science. So, should bilingual or computer science education be enforced in the public schools curriculum, and why?
So, I think that computer science should be enforced because as more and more technology is going to be introduced in this world, we should all learn how technology works, especially to get in the job market.
Well, I'd say I'm about 50-50 on a conundrum. I somewhat lean towards bilingual education or bilingual or multilingual education, and I feel I personally think that it should be premier, premier, primary priority in general because we live in a world where humans are becoming more and more globally interconnected, especially thanks to the advancement of technology as time goes by.
True.
And what is your stance on the existence of a higher power and what does it mean to you?
So the proper term for myself and other people like me is apologetics. We look for the proof of God's existence through the apostles' motives and concrete evidence of the New Testament, both in the Bible and in the real world. But personally, I grew up agnostic and became Protestant as of last year when I heard a radio broadcast. I got baptized last year also, and although I still do have recurring doubts about God's existence, I also think that my personal belief in Jesus Christ is as concrete as the universal belief in Christopher Columbus, Socrates, who wrote Antigone, and Plato.
Well, ever since I was very young, probably as young as a toddler, I've strongly believed in the almighty and unconditional existence of God. And for the first decade of my life, I passively grew up as a clueless Roman Catholic. Back then, I did not have a defined concept of nor relationship with God. And in the figment of my conscience, he was just a real life dwelling spirit in the soul as much as Tinkerbell and Santa Claus are, but out with the old and in with the new. One summer over 10 years ago, I've decided to get baptized at a non denominational Christian church around the age of 11, and to this day, I still consider myself to be a very devout, cerebral, and spiritual non denominational Christian in a mindful relationship with God. And although I'm no religious fundamentalist, I find that there's still room for growth, improvement, and desire to gain further knowledge from this relationship with God.
Sweet.
And so, audience, I've got a question for you all. And based on my interactions with Hal, do you believe her to be an ISTJ or another type, and why? And also, I'd like for you to guess which language I'm speaking right now. Witam was. Dobry dzień. Mam na imię Paul. Dziękuję bardzo. Do widzenia. And finally, thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoy my video, feel free to like it, comment on it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. So,
Alright,
baka baka.
Alright.